Okay, so we're going to go through 4.1.1 review preview. We're going to start with 4-10, and then we're going to go to 4-11. It says, read the math notes box in this lesson, right? So you should have watched the toolkit video, then complete the following division problems. Go ahead and try these problems on your own first. No calculator, and then come back and check with us. Okay, so I want to go over the first one really quickly, right? If I do A, this is 683 divided by 4. Really, what this looks like as a fraction is 683 over 4. You will see this a lot, okay, in 7th grade. So going ahead and setting it up in our division sign, right? This is going to be 683 divided by 4. Right? And there's two ways that the math notes talked about. The one way is the way that I learned in elementary school. I'm not sure how you learned it in elementary school. And then the other way is how technically the math numbers work, right? So the way that I learned in elementary school, and they also mention it in the math notes, is you look at this number right here, and it says how many times does 4 go into 6, right? And it only goes in one time. Right, so I always use the analogy of parking lots for some reason. If there's a parking lot of six spaces, right, and you have a car that takes up 4 spaces, how many of those can you get in there, right? And so you're looking at, you only have one set that can go in. So 1 times 4 gives me 4, right? And I subtract and I get 2 left over. Okay, the way that the math note says it is how many times does 4 go into 600? And what you're looking at is 100 times, right? So let me continue this and I'll keep explaining. Bring down the 8, right? 4 now goes into 28. What we're looking at is 7 times. 4 times 7 is 28, and I subtract and I get 0, right? But I still have numbers left over. So let's go ahead and bring this one down, our next one. Right? This is 3. 4 goes into 3. This is where my students mess up a lot, right? 4 goes into 3 0 times. 0 times. So you have to make sure that you have that 0. 0 times 4, the same sequence. 0 times 4 will give me 0. And I subtract and I get 3. Now, because I have a remainder, you either have a fraction left over or you have a decimal. So we're going to go ahead and expand this. Bring down this 0. Right? And now they ask how many times does 4 go into 30? Okay, this is my elementary school way of doing this. So 4 goes into 30 7 times. I need to bring up my decimal, right? That's very important to bring up my decimal. 7 times 4 is 28. I subtract, I get 2. I add another 0 because I'm still going, right? And then 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. I subtract and I get 0. Now that I have 0, I can stop, right? If that wasn't 0, then I keep adding zeros right here and I keep dividing and going. Okay? So my answer when I look at this, 683 divided by 4 is 170 and 75 hundredths. Okay? The way that the math notes is talking about, I won't go through this too much, right? But the way that the math notes is talking about is if I were to do this again, 4 goes into 683. What they're talking about is how many times does 4 go into 600, right? And what you're looking at is 100 times, right? 100 times. So 100 times 4 would be 400. I subtract and I get 283. And oh, look, here is the 283. Now I want to know how many times does 4 go into 280, right? And that's 70 times, which is in this digit, and it goes on, right? The way that the elementary school teachers teach this is because it's a lot more simpler when you're looking at single digits, right? And that's okay. But just know that this is 683 is what we're looking at. When we go into the decimal, this is actually asking how many times does 4 go into 3? And it's actually a fraction, right? So not the whole number, it's just a decimal or a part of it. Okay, let's go ahead and check B just to check our work. Okay, so this is what we're looking at for B, right? A little bit trickier. So 9 goes into 2 0 times, right? We don't technically need this 0, but I wanted you to see, and I wanted to make sure that we have it in the right places, right? So when we finish our answer, when we write our final answer, you don't need this 0 in front. Okay, so looking at this, we do our division, and here is where the difference is, right? So I'm going to highlight this piece. We had a remainder of 5, brought down the 0, right? And then how many times does 9 go into 50? 5 times. Oh, look, I get 45. And again, I have a remainder of 5. If I brought down another 0, oops. Does that highlight? That doesn't highlight either. Okay. If I brought down another 0, again, it's going to be 50, right? And then 5 times 9 is 45. I have a remainder of 5. Again, it's going to be 50, and so on. And it's going to keep going. It will not stop, right? So when we see this, this is really important. When we see this, you don't want to just keep writing 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and it keeps going, right? The way we notate this is bar notation. And what that means is whatever number is repeating, whatever number that keeps on going forever, right? And again and again and again, and 5 and 5 and 5 and 5 and 5, you just put a bar over it, and that is a symbol that tells you that it's repeating. Okay? So let's go ahead and do 4-11. If you're having trouble with division, let me know. Come see me during office hours and we can go over it. Okay, go ahead and do 4-11, and we're going to go ahead and check our answers in a bit. Alrighty, so this is all on place value. Let's go ahead and check our answers. So the first one is 7. This is tenths, hundredths, thousandths place. So this is 7 thousandths, and that's how you write your fraction, 7 over 1,000. B is 103 thousandths. So this is tenths, hundredths, thousandths place, and that is what we use as our denominator. Okay, for part C, 1 and 21 hundredths would be 1 whole and 21 over 100, right? So this is the tenths and then the hundredths place. Or you could say 121 over 1,000, right? Because the 1 would be 100 over 100. 505 thousandths, now we're writing it into the decimal form, right? So this is 505. This needs to be in the thousands place. So I'll make sure that this is the tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Going on, 505 over 100 now would be 5 and 5 hundredths. So it would be 5, and this is the tenths, hundredths place. And the last one I wanted to do with you, this is 2 100 thousandths is what we're looking at. So that means that I need to have my 2 in the 100 thousandths place. So we're going to go tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10 thousandths, 100 thousandths place is what we're looking at, right? So there are 4 zeros before the 2 after the decimal on that one, right? And this is all place value. Alrighty, that is it for this one. Make sure that you take a picture, upload it wherever you need to. Get to the end of this video, click on share results, and then make sure that you resubmit on Google Classroom or click whatever button is there to make sure that your grades are in the gradebook. Okay, if you have any questions, sign up for office hours. Thank you.